Hello, welcome to another edition of Split Decision Boxing. Now, as you'll probably know, it's been quite some time since I did my last video. And I've got no excuses really, apart from I've just not got around to doing it. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get into what I want to talk about. It's enough to compel me to get on here and make a video. So let's do it. I'm doing this video 24 hours before a historic night of boxing in Riyadh, which is going to culminate in the heavyweight title bout between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury, which is going to decide for the first time in 24 years, I think it is. It's going to decide the undisputed and undefeated heavyweight champion of the world. The first part of that, the undisputed part, that's not happened, as I say, for I think it's 24 years, maybe 25, I don't know. The last undisputed heavyweight champion of the world was, of course, Britain's own Lennox Lewis. So we could have a double whammy here if Tyson Fury wins, or indeed we could have somebody from another place that's in the news for all the wrong reasons, from Ukraine. And I'm not going to get into politics and get into all what's going on out there. I just want to talk about the fight really, and towards the end of this video I might touch on outside of the ring events with, well, you know, it's history now, but Tyson Fury's father, John Fury. But I'll get into that if I feel like it. I'll see how this video goes. It's not going to be very long. I just really want to give my my thoughts and give you my prediction on how I think this fight's going to go. So, standing face to face for the first time is going to be a natural heavyweight, and in his own words, a natural born fighter, king of the gypsies. You know, he lauds about how great he is and he doesn't think that any man can beat him, etc, etc, etc. Britain's very own and Walcomb's very own Tyson Fury. Now, Tyson, is it 35 fights now? Will be, if he wins this, will be undefeated. And he's, you know, stepping into the ring to defend his WBC heavyweight title, which he won. 2 times world champion. Let's not forget that. He's a 2 times world champion, and I'm not going to take anything away from him with that either. And he's a WBC heavyweight champion. Of course, we know he beat, he had 3 fights with Deontay Wilder, and arguably won all 3. I say arguably because we know what happened in one where it was given as a draw. He's a phenomenal fighter. We can't dispute that. A phenomenal boxer, a fighter. For a man of his size, he's got incredible skill. He's very quick for a big man. He knows how to. He does know how to box. He knows how to feint, move, dodge, duck. He knows how to play dirty. We've seen him use his elbow in the ring before, and he knows the fight game. You know, I mean, he says himself that he's fought outside of the ring as well as inside of the ring. He says he's fought his father, he's fought his brothers. He comes from fighting stock, from fighting background, and there's no doubt about it. He deserves to be the heavyweight champion of the world that he is. Okay. He's fighting a man called Alexander Usyk. And anybody who has the slightest interest in boxing or knowledge of boxing will obviously know that Usyk is just an incredible technical fighter, technical boxer. Of course, he's a two-time world champion as well. He's been world champion at cruiserweight, and he's currently the heavyweight champion, holding all the other belts apart from the WBC. So you could arguably say already that he's the more credible fighter, but of course that doesn't work in saying that. And we won't know the answer to that until tomorrow night in about 24 hours time, when the two of them step up and face each other face to face, stripped down to just their shorts in the arena. And they step through the squared ring with their gloves on and engage in the most beautiful of all sports, which is boxing under the Queensberry rules. Usyk, as we know, as much as we can give Fury credit for his fights against Wilder, and of course his fights against Klitschko, and so on. And Fury, as we know, is fallible. He's been put down. He's been hurt. He's been put down on several occasions. But he does have an amazing resilience, an amazing ability to get back up. And his recovery rate is second to none. And we know that Usyk is also not infallible. He went down in a recent fight, argued it was a low blow. The judge and jury is out on that as to whether that was a bona fide low blow, but it was deemed a low blow. And he, possibly for the first time in his career, showed a little bit of weakness in the body. Now, the one thing we know for sure is that Fury is a hard hitter. He put Wilder down, I think, with a body shot in one of his fights, didn't he? We know he can hit hard. The odds if you was to just take these two people without knowing their history and without knowing their record, and you just look at the stats of these two, there's not a way on earth that you could possibly pick Usyk to win in terms of the weight. Probably around about, Fury's probably a 45, 50 pound, coming in 45, 50 pound heavier than Usyk. Fury's 6'9" as opposed to 6'3", I think Usyk is. So height, weight, definitely reach, advantage is all going to be on Fury's side. What's not on Fury's side is that this man Usyk doesn't know how to lose. He does not know how to lose. And the size and weight really doesn't bother him, as we saw when twice Usyk dismantled our golden goose, if you like, at the time, Anthony Joshua. Destroyed him, took him apart, and the size of the man, and the fact that the Fury was such a big, AJ was also known to be a big hitter, didn't faze him, didn't bother him. He went in there and he outfought him, and he outthought him, and he outboxed him, and he outclassed him, as he's done for most of his career against most of the people that he's fought. And for that reason, I believe that equalises anything that Fury can bring into the ring. So on the night, how do I see it going off? It's really intriguing. If I'm honest, as these last couple of weeks in particular have gone on, I've gone either way. I've gone Fury, Usyk. I don't know. I look at Fury and I think this man brings something to the game every time. He plays the perfect mind games when he plays. He gets inside people's heads, a bit like Ali used to, a bit like Chris Eubank used to. He knows how to play. He knows how to play the build-up game. He knows how to sow those seeds of doubt into a fighter's head, into an opponent's head. And then I think, but I look at Usyk, and he just doesn't look fazed by anything. Anything so far that I've seen Fury say in the presses, the various interviews that they've had, there's nothing that seems to have fazed Usyk. So it almost, again, Usyk has the mental ability to negate any threat mentally to him, as well as physically. So on the night, here's my prediction. I've got a good rate of predicting, by the way. If you've followed my previous videos on here, I've done a lot. Done a lot of videos about boxing. 70 odd, I believe, so far. I'm not a prolific YouTuber. I'm not one of these that's trying to become an influencer or whatever it is you call it. Although it would be nice to grow my followings. Don't get me wrong, and it would be nice to have enough to earn a little bit of income from it. But I'm nowhere near that at the moment, and I doubt if I ever will be, because I'll probably will do this video, and then I'll probably do one after this fight, and for whatever reason I don't go back on it and I don't do it. I will do it if I get enough comments, by the way, of people telling me that they've enjoyed the video and please do some more. Because I do like to think I know what I'm talking about when I talk about boxing. I've followed boxing all my life. I've followed it since I was 6 years old. And if you go back over one of my previous videos, I think I mentioned on there that I was turned on to boxing at a very young age. I'm sitting in the front room of my council house as a kid with my dad, and we sat up and watched Joe Bugner fighting Muhammad Ali, and I sat there mesmerised, and I fell in love with the sport, and I've been in love with the sport ever since, and everything that's come with it, from Ali to Bugner to, oh my God, I can just go on to Frazier and Marvellous Marvin Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard and Alan Mintner and Terry Marsh, all these fabulous fighters that all bring something different to the sport. I love that. I'll come back to that in a minute anyway. Getting back to my prediction. So if you look, I predict quite a few fights. I've got quite a good record. I'm normally in the ballpark. Some I get horrendously wrong, but I'm usually in the ballpark. So because I like to think I know enough about the fight game and about the boxers that are involved in the fight game that I can make an accurate assessment. I used to go, early days, I used to go on BoxRec and I would look at all the stats and the weight gain, the weight differences and how many fights and the styles and everything else, and I would sort of mathematically and logically try and work it out. But these days I don't do that as much. I tend to go more for my gut feeling and just how I think it's going to go. And how do I think this is going to go? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. I think it's going to be a hard fight for both fighters. This is not going to be a walk in the park for either one of them. I think this is going to be the toughest fight that Usyk has ever had, because, as I say, Fury is a slippery customer. He surprises you with what he brings, I think. He's unconventional. He's unpredictable. You don't know what Fury is going to face you on the night. He might just come at you like a steamroller. He may, as he did with Klitschko, play the fighting game, and that was one of the most amazing performances I've ever seen. He was just so awkward. There was never a chance in a month for Sundays that Klitschko was going to win that night. So it's going to be a really, really tough night for Usyk, and if he wants to win this fight, he's going to have to dig deep, and I think he's going to have to scrape deep down into every ounce and every fibre of his boxing ability and his boxing brain and his stamina. Because the one mistake I don't want to see him make, or I wouldn't like to see him make, which I think fighters have done in the past, is think they've already beat him because they put him down. As I said earlier, this is a man you can put down with a sledgehammer. If he gets back up, you're in trouble. You're in serious trouble. So it's going to be a tough, tough night. He's going to have to cope with a man, as I say, 45, 50 pound heavier than him. He's going to have to cope with a man 6 inches taller than him, who I think is going to lay all over him. That's my gut feeling. I think Fury is going to use his extra weight and size, and he's going to nullify Usyk's boxing skills by laying on him, pushing his weight on him, tiring him out, maybe then hitting him in flurries, and then laying on him again. And then maybe, this isn't my prediction, I was just saying maybe that'll be enough for Fury. He'll find that opening and will stop Usyk. Maybe. It's going to be a tough, tough, tough night for Usyk. Equally, it's going to be a tough, tough, tough night for Fury. Because I don't think Fury has fought anyone near the same level of class that Usyk is. We know he's unbeaten. We know he was the lineal champion. We know he's got some big names under his belt with Klitschko and Wilder and so on and so forth. He fought Klitschko at the end of his career. Klitschko was, I'm not going to say finished, but he wasn't the fighter that he was 5 years previous. And I think that may have been a different story, let me tell you. He fought Wilder, and let's be honest, you boxing purists out there that are listening to this, you will know this. You won't be able to deny this. Wilder was not a boxer by any stretch of the imagination. Wilder's a fighter. He's a hitter. He's a puncher. Allegedly the hardest punch in boxing. Not hard enough to knock Fury out though, let's remember that. But what I'm saying is, he nearly did. What he failed to do was go at him like a steamroller after he put him flat on his back. He gave him too much respect and too much time to get up and recover. And that was his fatal mistake. If he'd have followed it through and hit him again, this is what I mean about he's not a boxer. He didn't have the boxing brain. If he'd have used his brain and realised that we've now got a wounded animal, this is the chance I need to, it's now or never, let's do it, and throw the kitchen sink at Fury, we wouldn't be sitting here today looking forward to an undisputed heavyweight title fight. So, as I'm saying, I don't think he's, I don't think he's fought. I'd be a mug to say he's not fought anyone who's any good. That's a silly thing to say. He hasn't fought world title fights with fighters that are at the top of their game, in their prime. This is the first one. And even this one, you could argue, that Usyk, who's I think 3 or 4 years older than Fury, will be slowing down. As Fury will be slowing down, I'm sure. And we know Fury's issues that he has with weight gain and weight loss and fitness levels and everything else. I mean, you saw Fury's last fight, this exhibition fight against Ngannou was an embarrassment, wasn't it? It was an embarrassment. He put Fury on his back. Another man who was supposed to be the hardest puncher in the world. He put Fury down, didn't finish him off. Ngannou, not Ngannou, sorry. He didn't finish him off. There are people that might say, well, it was all a fix anyway. It was, it was supposed to go the way it did. I don't necessarily buy into that. What I do buy into is that I saw a fight that night, a crossover fight, which if you look at my previous videos, you'll know my opinion on crossover fights. But it was a crossover fight with nothing on the cards apart from reputation, really. And Fury, I don't think, gave 100% in his build-up. He said he did, but he didn't. He was still overweight. He was out of shape, and he got found out. Let me tell you, I think he thought it was going to be a lot easier than it was, and this may be the fatal mistake that he makes against Usyk. That he thinks, well, this man's a lot smaller than me. I saw a program I was watching on YouTube where he's been interviewed, and he said Usyk's just like any other average. He's an average fighter, average build man, 6'3". He doesn't bring anything that could scare me or that I have to fear. And that he should fear himself, because the biggest failure of most fighters that you will see at top level, when they suddenly lose a fight that they was expected to win, is complacency and underestimating the opposition. Only a fool will underestimate Usyk, because we've seen what he can do at all levels. I look at the two, predictions coming, trust me. I look at the two and I think to myself, where's the weakness? I look at Fury, I see he's susceptible to getting caught and put down, which automatically makes him susceptible to being knocked out cold or stopped, because of a fighter with the right brain will know what to do if Fury gets up. I look at Usyk and I don't see a weakness. I don't see a weakness. He can take a punch. Okay, he got floored with a midriff punch. Perhaps there's a weakness there, and perhaps Fury will exploit that with his big, heavy arms, heavy hands, and he'll go down below. And as they say, if you can keep chopping away at the trunk, eventually the tree will fall. But that might be his downfall, because every time he drops his hands to go low, he's going to leave his own chin open. Now, the question is, has Usyk got enough power to stop Fury, to knock him over, to knock him down? That I'm not sure about. But what I am sure about is he's got the ability to outpunch him, to outthink him, to outsmart him, to outmove him, and to overcome him, overpower him with velocity rather than ferocity. So my prediction is this. Tomorrow night, when they face each other, it's going to go to 12 rounds. It's going to be some messy moments. I think there's going to be times in this fight when Usyk has to cover up and looks like he's in trouble. If he knows, if he's brainy enough, if he has the boxing brain enough, and the footwork and the agility and ability to be able to avoid being leaned on and, smothered, and that's tiring, If he can avoid that, if he can slip out of that, and he can let his punches go, I can only see one winner. I can see Usyk winning on points with a unanimous decision. That's my prediction. An Usyk win over 12 rounds on a unanimous. That's the only bit I'm not sure on, mate, because we know how dodgy the judge scoring can be in the fight game. But I think that's how I think it's going to go. And I think it's going to be mayhem when it does. Which brings me nicely to something I just want to touch on. I watched a video prior to putting this one on. I can't remember the name of the guy. Very similar to me, guy sitting back in his room on his computer. He's got quite a following. I think I saw he had 19,000 views of his latest video, which is pretty phenomenal. And I only saw part 2. He apparently had done a part 1 where he had named, he called it John Fury bracket scum close bracket. And he basically echoed everything I think about John Fury. Boxing is an elite sport. It's a sport of gentlemen. It's a sport of kings, right? Boxing is the saviour of so many people going down the wrong road. And the reason it's the saviour of so many people that are going down the wrong road is because when they walk into that gym and decide to commit themselves to the fight game, a fight game with rules and regulations, the Queensberry rules, where you need discipline, heart, massive respect to any man who steps through those ropes, by the way. But most of all, it teaches people respect for your opponent and for each other. And in the main, forget the hype that we see before fights with, there's been exceptions, hasn't there, when it's gone a little bit sour, where you've seen fighters, do things that perhaps they shouldn't do. We all remember some of the antics of one of the greatest heavyweights of my generation, Mike Tyson, when he attacked Lennox Lewis at a presser, and then when he lost it and anyway, we've seen lots of stuff like that. But it's usually fighters that are doing it, and most of it, not all of it, but most of it is pre-planned to a degree to sell tickets, to put bums on seats. And then you get the Fury family. And you get John Fury, who for whatever reason wants to be the main man. I'm John Fury. I'll fight any man. I come from fighting stock. Well, maybe you do, John. Maybe you do. No one's disputing that. We know you're a fighter. You didn't win many in the ring, by the way, from what I've read and what I've seen. You got flattened a few times. But outside of the ring, I understand you as you had a reputation. Not such a pleasant one. I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of you, that's for certain, physically. But I've been entitled to my opinion, and my opinion is this. If you're going to represent your son in sport of any kind, in the public eye, behave like a father. Behave like the better man. The man who's brought this boy up and supports and loves him, and most of all, show some respect to your opponents, to your son's opponents. Why does it always have to be about you, John? Why does it always have to... Why do you have to be throwing tables? Why do you have to be headbutting perspex bloody things? Why do you have to be screaming through the ropes at other fighters when your son's main event has just finished? It's not your event, John. It's not your... Maybe you're frustrated because even, because your sons, your family are achieving more than you ever could and ever did. Instead of trying to steal the limelight and trying to show the world what a big tough man you are, have some dignity about you, will you? And when I saw this this week, when he finds the smallest man in Usyk's camp and sticks the nut on him, and then goes on a rant about we're Spartans. Grow the fuck up. Seriously. I echo what the man on the other video that I was referring to. I recommend if you can find it. I can't remember what it was called, who the name of the person. But perhaps if you put in John Fury, open bracket, scum, close bracket, you'll find it. Now, I wouldn't call you scum, John. I'm not going to get into personal insults. But why are you doing it? Why are you threatening other fighters as well? You've made threats towards Carl Froch and Tony Bellew, who's threatened if you'll stick the nut on them if you see him. What are you trying to get out of it, apart from raising your own public profile? Well, you've succeeded in that, John. You've raised your own public profile. But unfortunately, you've raised it in the wrong way. Adolf Hitler raised his own public profile in a huge way, didn't he? Wasn't the right way. Know what I mean? So, do the world a favour, mate. Let your sons or your family, who are professionals in the fight game, let them have the limelight. Be there for them and support them, but support them in a dignified and gentlemanly way. And don't bring this beautiful, beautiful sport into disrepute and give more ammo to the people, the haters of this sport. There's enough of them out there. And behaving like that outside the ring just gives them exactly the firepower they need. That's all I want to say. That's all from me. I hope you've liked this video. If you have, do me one big favour, because as I said earlier on, I think if enough people did like it and gave it a thumbs up and dropped a comment in and subscribed, which is the most important thing, then I would do more videos like this. I'll talk about other fights and other fighters, because I do really, really enjoy doing these when I do them. I just don't, I don't know why I don't pick up the phone to do it, But anyway, I've done it now. This is it. Hope you've enjoyed it. My name's Ray, and this is me signing off from Split Decision Boxing, everyone.